Hi, I'm Danny Knightmare,
I'm Gory Movie.
and tonight we are going to see Old. And I'm feeling old. It's already past 9, and I'm getting a little too old for this shit. Hopefully,
There's crickets out here. I feel like time is just passing us by.
let's hope this movie's good. I don't know.
With Shyamalan, you just never know. Shyamalan? God, I never know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, with him. Some of his movies are really good, but a lot of them are just garbage.
There's The Happening. There's Last Airbender, which I think is probably the worst one.
Well, pissed off a lot of fans from
Yeah.
that franchise.
But I mean, then there's The Sixth Sense and Signs and
Unbreakable.
So, and I really liked The Visit, which I thought was his comeback, and Split.
So, but then there's like Lady of the Lake and The Village and in Glass.
Glass is pretty disappointing.
The ending was bad. Oh well, let's go see what this is. I think people go to an island and their ages fluctuate or some shit.
We'll see.
Babies having babies. Whoa, I feel like that movie took years off my life.
Yeah, I mean, Old kind of explains the experience of watching the film.
So, I mean, it's not falsely advertised, if anything. Let's see, definitely not his best work.
Yikes! I was gonna say this is right above The Happening. It may not even be as entertaining as The Happening, but quality-wise, that's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, though, I could just imagine M. Night, like, giggling to himself as he writes that very clever opening dialogue that's all time-related and all age-related.
Yeah, the theme is not subtle. It's all about, like, taking time to appreciate the little things. We're all growing up so fast, and the trivial problems of our day-to-day life mean nothing in the grand scheme. Yeah, you're gonna get that, like, just hammered home to you. Hammered home.
They can't wait to see their kids all grown up and all that other stuff. Oh, when you're older, then you'll understand. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna just jump to it and say the worst aspect of this film that really makes it kind of just a cheesy experience is the writing. The writing and the dialogue are just kind of garbage. And, I mean, it doesn't even feel like it's written for human beings. Like, it feels like something aliens wrote for human beings to perform. It doesn't feel like these characters are speaking or reacting to situations the way that normal humans would.
And that kind of starts even before the things get crazy. It just kind of is that way to begin with.
It's awkward, and it goes past awkward even to full-on cringe in so many of the scenes.
Babies having babies, y'all.
oh yeah, I mean, you can see from the trailer that the 6-year-old at the beginning, she ends up getting knocked up, and it's very awkward. There are parts in this where it's so awkward that I feel guilty that I laughed out loud, but then I realized I wasn't the only one in the theater. Like, it was a pretty common experience.
Yeah, I didn't really need to see these cute little kids that are presented to us be hit with puberty like a tidal wave. It was weird. Very weird. Also, there's some parts of the science that really don't make sense. Cause like, there's a part where she's like, "Oh, we just spent 3 days of you feeling my face," and it's like, well, if that's the truth, then like you couldn't hold your breath for a second in this movie without dying. I mean,
so much of the rules of this beach just don't add up. There's a person, I mean, obviously we're following a family who shows up in this beach, but there is somebody who is on that beach before them, whose name is Midsize Sedan, by the way. Probably the stupidest name I've ever freaking heard. And yeah, that person, I'm surprised that they haven't appeared to have aged at all in the time from when they've arrived to when the family has arrived. Just so many inconsistencies like that if those are the kind of things that bother you in a movie, this movie's gonna drive you nuts, just because the rules don't work.
yeah, I thought the science in Us was bad, but it's way worse in this movie.
The rules don't work. And for anyone, I mean, I honestly didn't even know about this graphic novel until I heard that the movie was coming out. The graphic novel Sandcastle, which is really poignant, and it's so much more subtle. M. Night he does the full M. Night thing here. You know, he has to kind of overly explain things to the point where, again, the dialogue is just ridiculous. It's like they're doing it for us. They're letting us know that person is an art curator and that person is a doctor. I mean, that's not how people talk, and that is how people talk in this movie.
You can't just write your characters to say how they're feeling all the time.
You can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
That's not how people
I am teacher, so I know how children behave. I mean, I don't talk like that to people. And that's how people talk in this movie. It's incredibly awkward. Also, the children, it's so strange because on one hand, they only have memories of the time when they were aging normally, really. But they, in other ways, develop, sexual impulses and tendencies, but they seem to, for the most part, be maturing at a very slow rate. So it's really odd. It's odd how, in some ways, they will talk about things like a 6-year-old talks about prom at one point, and I'm like, how aware of prom were you when you were 6? How aware of high school graduation were you when you were 6? So just so much of this just really doesn't add up. So I mean, this is one that a lot of people are going to be like, well, you need to turn your brain off for it, but I think you need to know that this is slightly above the happening in terms of quality. Like, this is a movie that you're going to watch because it's one of those kind of so bad it's good movies. I mean, it's slow paced. I felt the time as I was watching it. I felt like, okay, when's this gonna get going? And it doesn't have a lot of action sequences. It doesn't have a whole lot of scares. There's a little bit of body horror that I thought was pretty effective, but you feel the pacing of this movie. You really feel it. And so I feel like the major entertainment value you're gonna get from this is that so bad it's good. It's gonna be laughing at it.
As far as action goes, there is like an intense scene of swimming through some coral, like in the Ninja Turtles video game. That got a lot of people to rage quit. I remember that. So there's that.
The other thing too is, I think the only real quality filmmaking that this has to offer, I'm not going to say that the acting is that great. You have a few people who are talented, like Alex Wolff and stuff in this, but I think just what they have to work with, a lot of the acting is really hit and miss. The major strength of this is the cinematography and the direction, but about halfway through the movie it gets really, really dark. And then I think you lose even that. I mean, this overall, I would say, was pretty disappointing.
You're just stuck on a beach with people you don't like.
Oh, no. And I didn't really connect to any of these characters. I didn't really care about them when the horrible things happened to them just because of the absurdity of the situation. And again, the terrible dialogue. A lot of times I ended up laughing, which just kind of made me feel like a crappy person. But
And of course, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's a twist.
And the twist is pretty terrible, especially if you're at all familiar with the graphic novel. Like I said, it doesn't have any of that subtlety. What he's doing here honestly reminds me of similar to what he did in The Village. It's just bad. It's a terrible, terrible ending.
There's even parts where M. Night Shyamalan is like literally watching his own movie.
He's in the movie again. Not as big of a part as he gave himself in Signs, but damn, hon, don't be playing the driver after you're the driver that killed someone's wife in Signs. You cut that woman in half, dude.
That was their mistake. They should not have gotten a car with that guy.
You don't get in a car with that guy.
Or go jogging anywhere near he drives. Act, damn you.
The one, honestly, kind of scary and interesting part of this movie, I think, was completely unintentional. At one point, due to old age, one of the characters starts to go blind, and obviously they have no access to getting an eyeglasses prescription. Another character starts to go deaf, and they have no way to get a hearing aid. And it's completely unintended by the movie, but it made me think of what it must have been like back in, pre-technology times when people didn't have eyeglasses and you got old, and that just became your experience, and that was pretty scary. But again, no credit to the film.
Yeah, there's just a lot of makes you think, I guess, because people suffer from physical illnesses, mental illnesses, and So, I mean, there is some deep thought in there. It just...
Yeah, the concept has such novelty to it that I think it really does inspire you to think about things that maybe you haven't thought about before. But I wouldn't give credit to this film for that. I'd give credit to maybe the graphic novel that inspired the idea. But this movie doesn't have a whole lot of intelligence behind it.
But it does have waves and rocks.
Waves and Rocks! This show is brought to you by Waves and Rocks.
And despite that, I mean, I feel like I'm being really, really hard on it, and I hate being hard on movies because I love movies. I had a good time watching this.
I had a good time hanging out with you and watching it. We were in the VIP drinking some, Bad Granny.
Yeah, Bad Granny is what we were drinking.
Because it fit the theme.
It fit the theme, so...
That part was fun.
I had a good time, but I definitely had a different experience than I think was intended by this movie. I wasn't horrified. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I mostly was just laughing at really absurd situations.
So, see it, skip it.
I'm going to say this is one that you need to stream with your friends and some alcohol. Do not waste your money seeing this in the theater because it is not worth it. I mean, even the beautiful cinematography, like I said, halfway through, it's super dark. It's not worth it. This is a so bad it's good film. This is like a room experience. You need to get a lot of alcohol, a lot of good buddies, and watch this with some pizza on a bad movie night. This is not something that you need to watch because you are in the mood for a scary movie.
Yeah, get some pretzel twists. Alright, well, I enjoyed Speed Holes, I enjoyed Bonitis, but I did not join this movie. It was just kind of a crazy, weird time. But I'm gonna say skip it or see it, but don't go out of your way to do either. It's just, it's there.
As far as the cinematic experience of it, I'm going to say skip it. Do not see this in the movie theater. If you happen to catch it on your streaming service for free, or you're already paying for that service, enjoy it for a bad movie night. But do not spend any money on this movie.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a huge fan of M. Night and you love all of his movies, then this reeks of M. Night, so you will probably enjoy it.
If you're somebody who really enjoys their cheesy movies and you're somebody who's really a big fan of things like The Room or Troll 2, this might appeal to you. But again, I just don't think it's something that you need to see in the cinema. So at the very least, I would just say I recommend this as kind of a guilty pleasure. But I absolutely do not recommend this as a horror movie.
A very bizarre social experience.
It was bizarre, for sure.
All right. Well, cut.
Yeah.